Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo! I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available Christmas 2022. The album, Dad, Shimmy Shimmy, AF, Rock on Gold Dust, Woman. Beast! How are you guys doing today? Oh, wow. Okay, so today's video is a very personal video, and it's a video that I'm very passionate about. So I'm really, really excited about what I'm going to talk about in this video. But before I get into this video, I want to say a very special thank you to AdamandEve.com for sponsoring yet another video on my channel. And I have worked with Adam and Eve now for, I don't know, it's been like 2 years, and they've just been so fantastic for working with me. My favorite thing is in the comment sections when you guys like thank me for the code, or you'll say, I used your code, or I get so many of you that email me or DM me and say, oh my God, my partner and I, we sat down and we ordered a bunch of stuff off of Adam and Eve, and thank you for your code and whatever. And just recently, I got a bunch of people that said I used your code for Christmas for my poor partner, my poor partner, and they are gonna have some spicy romantic things for Christmas. So yeah, so you can use my code for anything for my code Peter over on AdamandEve.com. You can use it, and then you can buy some spicy romantic things for your partner, or even for yourself if you'd like to. And the other thing about the couple of things about AdamandEve.com. First of all, they have a 90-day hassle-free return policy. Okay, hassle-free? Yes, hassle-free return policy. And then they also have 24-hour customer service, so you can call them up any time of day if you have questions about your order, or if you have questions about, you know, whatever, how something works, maybe. I don't know, okay, but whatever. And then the last thing, and this is the thing that I love so much about AdamandEve.com is, and you guys, you know, I just talked about this recently in another video, but like, I don't support brands, and I don't support sponsorships and collaborations unless it's something that I really believe in. And one of the things that like pulls me in every single time is a business or organization that donates a certain amount of their proceeds. And AdamandEve.com donates 20% of their proceeds to the fight and prevention of HIV and AIDS around the world. You know, and so just recently on December 1st was World AIDS Day. And you know, I was thinking on that day about how it's such a different world that we live in today versus when I came out in 1990. And when I came out in 1990, you know, like I came out kind of like on the heels of having this just like mass AIDS crisis where so many people were dying, and you know, it was the time of the quilt and things like that. The quilt, you know, that went around the United States but was in Washington, D.C., if you guys remember that. And so, you know, we don't talk about it that much anymore, and I think that that is because of the prevention and the fight of HIV and AIDS, and that there are so many people that are living and thriving and are asymptomatic, you know, and I think that that's fantastic. But I think it's still important that we talk about it, and I think it's still important that we educate. And so AdamandEve.com, they donate 20% of their proceeds to the fight and prevention of HIV and AIDS around the world. So if you, whatever you buy, even if you buy something for $5 and you use my code and you get it for $2.50, part of that is going to that, and that's fantastic. So I'm asking you, please, please, please use my code to just buy anything. It's the Christmas miracle that keeps on giving. It'll make me happy. It'll make you happy, of course, and it'll make Adam and Eve happy. So thank you, AdamandEve.com, for sponsoring yet another video on this channel. All right, let's get into this video. Well, I have a little announcement to make. Today is my 28-year sobriety birthday, and it's surreal. It's absolutely surreal. And every year on my channels, on my sobriety birthday, I try to do, I think last year I did, and every other year, I try to do some video specifically dedicated to addiction, to recovery, to sobriety, talking about, you know, something to do with that. I think, you know, one year I did a video just talking about like my addiction journey and like what that looked like. And, you know, another year I talked about, you know, like what my recovery looked like, and, you know, going to 12-step meetings. And you know, I do want to say this. So my recovery looks like this. I work a 12-step program. I have a sponsor. She has a sponsor. I have a home group. My sponsor has a home group. That's a meeting that we make a commitment to going to on a regular basis. I go to meetings. You know, the people around me go to meetings. I, you know, have service positions. They have service positions. And so, you know, there's a level of accountability. I work steps. I do inventory. And I read the basic text and things like that. And that's what my recovery looks like, okay? I know that there are many different ways to get sober today, all right? I don't judge anybody for how they choose to get sober. You do what you need to do to stay alive on this planet. I'm like here to just hope that one person out there that maybe hasn't heard the message of recovery or maybe is really struggling with addiction, whatever, that they will stay alive. That is my goal, okay, is to keep addicts alive and to stop, to destigmatize addiction and to also stop shaming addicts and alcoholics. I did a video a while ago, I think it was like 6 months ago maybe, over here where I was talking about this TikTok trend where people are taking video clips of addicts and they're like video recording them and then they're throwing it up on TikTok for everybody to laugh at, you know? And it's so sad because those people, some of them are gonna end up dead from the disease of addiction. And that's not how you get an addict sober. I never, ever wanted to get sober because somebody threw in my face the things that I had done. And I had a lot of people that threw in my face the things that I had done. They would say, do you want to know what you did last night? Or, oh my God, you did this. Or, oh my God, you did that. Or I would wake up in places that I had no idea how I had gotten there. And, you know, towards the end, it was really, really scary. And towards the end, I mean, the last 2 years, basically, of my using. The last month was just total desperation, okay? So I was sitting around yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, well, Peter, what do you want to say in this video today that's anything different than in every other video that you have addressed and you have talked about addiction and recovery? Like, you know, I posted this on my Twitter and I said, 28 years, we do recover, because I think it's a message that I want people to know. I think it's important whether you have 30 days or you have 30 years that people know that we do recover and that there are a lot of people out there that have short-term and long-term sobriety that are staying clean and sober and are living amazing lives, right? And so I posted it on Twitter and I just got all of these like really, really nice comments. So I want to say thank you for that. I didn't post it for all the pats on the back. I don't stay sober for pats on the back. I stay sober today because it is the foundation for my life that I have. And if I go back to using today, even at 28 years, that I will lose everything that I have in my life, including my marriage, my home, my YouTube, my everything, my friends, my family. I will lose it all if I go back to using. I know that. And the reason I know that is because I know what kind of addict alcoholic that I am inside. I also know because I have had, and I was just talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, I've had many friends of mine that had double-digit years of sobriety that went back out and started using again. I had a friend of mine that had over 20 years of sobriety and went back out and started using again, and within 6 months lost their family and everything, and it's been devastating to me, you know? So I do know people, and this was a person that was actively working a recovery program and stopped doing the things that they were doing. So yes, it can happen. The people that I know that have the lives that I want are the ones that continue to go to meetings, continue to have a sponsor, even at 40 and 50 years of sobriety. They continue to work with a sponsor. They continue to do inventory. They continue to work on themselves. They continue to challenge themselves on new things that they need to work on, you know? So when people come over here and they say to me, like, oh, Peter, you're like trying to gatekeep, like being like, oh, all these people need to work on this. These are the same things that I say about others are the same things I say to myself. And if you watch my vlog, you know that, you know, is that I'm constantly asking myself, what new things do I need to work on? What new things can I do to be the best version of myself, right? So when I was sitting here and I was thinking to myself, Peter, what can you do? What can you say that will be different about this video than all the other videos that you've said? And maybe there isn't anything that I can say. Maybe there isn't anything different that I'm going to do in this video than in any other video. But I was really, it was weird, okay? So I started watching Elf last night. I've never seen the movie Elf before, so I got about halfway through. It's cute, whatever. So I'm going to do a review on my review channel, and I'm going to call it Watching Elf for the very first time. But I was watching Elf last night, and so it was starting to get late. And so I was like, okay, I need to go to bed. And I had looked on my phone while I was vlogging, and it was weird because my sobriety birth date is a Saturday, okay? And I looked to see what the day of the week was the year that I got sober, which was December 17th, 1994. And it was a Saturday, which means that last night, Friday, 28 years ago, was the last night that I ever used. And it kind of like took me back, right, for a second. And I remember, well, of that night, I only remember bits and pieces. I remember starting the day. I remember drinking a lot. I remember eating a bunch of pills, smoking a lot of weed, going out, went to this like drag pageant thing. I remember smoking crack in an alley with somebody. Don't remember who. And then the next day, I kind of vaguely remember being in the hospital with my stepmother, who was going through like the assessment process with me at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And then the next thing I know, it was Saturday, and I woke up in a treatment program. It was frigid cold that year. It was absolutely freezing. And in fact, my dad, somehow in all of this madness, I called my father, and my father came out, and he like found me walking over the overpass, and I was like in boxer shorts. I'd like taken my jeans off. I don't know why. I was walking over the overpass, and I was like in jean shorts, combat boots, and like a biker jacket and a t-shirt. And he was like, I thought you were gonna like freeze to death. And he was like, and you kept on just saying like, I wanna go home, I wanna go home. And he said it was so bizarre because I knew you didn't mean like home like your apartment. Like he goes, I knew that you meant like some ethereal kind of like home. And he said it was so disturbing to me to hear you say that. A couple years ago, my dad and I had lunch, and we were talking about my sobriety, and I said to my dad, I said, you know, do you think, like, had I kept on using, that I would be? He goes, Dad, yes, absolutely. Like, didn't miss a beat. I go, I didn't even, like, do you really think? He goes, oh, yeah, I know that you would be. He goes, you were so bad towards the end. So, this is where it was at the end. At the end of my using, I was drinking about a fifth and a half of Jack Daniels a day. I was also drinking between like 3 and 6 40-ounce malt liquors a day, about 3 to 4, but sometimes more than that. Maybe like a half a case of beer. So that was the drinking and whatever else anybody would give me when I went out. I was eating a lot of Vicodin, and I was smoking weed all day long. As much weed as I could smoke. And then I had also been snorting cocaine, and I was smoking crack cocaine as well. I would have, at that time, and I've said this always, had anybody, I mean, crystal meth really wasn't like a big drug at that time, but had somebody introduced it to me, I would have used it. Heroin, I never came in contact with people that were using heroin. Had I come in contact with somebody that was using heroin, I would have started using heroin. Xanax wasn't around, Oxys weren't around. Had those things been around, I can tell you, I know for a fact, I would have started using them, and I would have got hooked on them. I know that. And I am also somewhat of a believer that, you know, I'm not a big believer in this like gateway drug kind of thing. I think it's wherever you start and wherever you lead, you know. I am a believer that some of us have predispositions for addiction. My mom got sober 6 months after I did. And I'm so thankful that when she passed away, we had 13 years almost of sobriety. She was a month short of having 13 years of sobriety. And so we had 13 years of sobriety together, of where we were able to speak the same language, and it was phenomenal. You know, it's a family disease, and so to heal together as a family was amazing. So anyway, that's where I was at the very end. I had had all kinds of legal consequences, you guys. It was a mess. And car accidents. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I was 22 years old. And I was 22 years old, developmentally going on about 15. And so, you know, and I look back on this kid that was living in this apartment that just was sad and desperate and just wanted somebody to love him and just was using to mute his feelings and just wanted to party because it just was trying to feel something inside. And, you know, when I was drinking and I was using, I could be anybody that you wanted me to be. I could be anybody that I wanted me to be. You know, I could use and I could imagine myself like in some glamorous life, you know, and I can remember like getting, you know, all dolled up to go like out to, you know, some bar, and in my mind's eye, I thought it was like some glamorous movie that took place in New York City, when in reality it was some dive bar in Indianapolis, Indiana. But to me, there was no difference, you know, and it was just a sad reality. You know, I had dropped out of college. I had no work skills. I had nothing going for me. And that's where I was when I woke up on that Saturday. And I walked out into the nurse's lounge. I remember I woke up and there was a guy sleeping next to me. I was on the detox unit, and he was like snoring like super, super loud. And I found out later that he was like a heroin addict, and like he was really struggling with withdrawals. And I remember I looked out the window and there were like just drifts of snow. And I was like, and it was just like blowing snow. And I was like, oh my God, I am so screwed. Like, I'm stuck here. And so I went out to the nurse's station. And who am I met by at the nurse's station? I'm met by the nurse, obviously, of the detox unit, who is my childhood neighbor that I had no idea worked in this treatment facility, okay? And I was, you want to talk about shame and embarrassment? I was so full of shame and embarrassment. And so she looked at me and I said, I need to leave. Like, I need to get out of here. And she said, Peter, you are in really bad condition. Like, you've like tested on everything across the board. Your vitals are like horrific. You need to stay. Please, just please stay. She was like, you're in really bad condition. And I just kind of looked at her, and you know, it's weird. Like, I almost kind of wonder, like, I believe in God moments, which you call them whatever you want to call them, but like, I almost kind of wonder in retrospect, had it not been her, like, I wonder, like, would I have stayed, you know? Like, it almost, like, took this woman that I had grown up next to, literally my next door neighbor, whose daughter I was friends with in elementary school. I wonder if it hadn't, who I ended up working with later, I wonder if it hadn't been her, if I would have stayed, you know? And she handed me my cigarettes, and she was like, go down to the lounge and have a cup of coffee. And I remember I went down to the lounge, and the detox unit was the only place in the entire hospital where they had real coffee, like regular coffee. And I sat there, and there was like some other woman that was like, I don't know, talking nonsense, and because we're all going through withdrawals, right? So anyway, that was the beginning of my detox, and I can remember looking out the window, and it was just like blizzard conditions, and I was like, you're so screwed, like, you're so screwed, you know? I recently got a letter from somebody, and the letter was so endearing to me, and it said, you know, I get so many cards and letters from people, which I'm so appreciative of, because I feel like we live in a time where people don't send cards and letters, and I literally got like 30 Christmas cards. I picked up the P.O. box yesterday, but anyway, I recently got a letter from somebody, a handwritten letter, which I love handwritten letters too, and it was from somebody saying to me, a woman, sharing with me her journey of being an alcoholic, and that she was really, really struggling. And she was telling me about how her alcoholism had continued to grow and grow and grow through the years, and that it was a very kind of secret, private thing now that she was even keeping from her husband and her kids. Like, they didn't know. And she was scared because she didn't know how to stop. And she needed support from her husband, but she was ashamed of telling her husband that she needed help. You know, and I totally relate to that. And this is where I talk about the destigmatization of addiction and mental health issues in our country. It has to stop, right? We have to see these as people that are, you know, sick people getting well, not bad people getting good. Because when we see them as bad people getting good, we feel like there's something that they've done wrong. I can't tell you how many funerals I have attended for addicts and alcoholics where that's the attitude. Like, you know, like if they had only done this or whatever, like there was like something bad about him, you know? You know, I'm not saying that there wasn't things that they could do that would keep them alive, but at the same time, they were sick people, and the disease was too strong for them. I had a very dear friend of mine whose son died of sudden sniffing death syndrome, which is where you're like, inhaling substances. He was inhaling computer duster. And I was like the first person in the hospital room in the ER, like right as he passed away. And I remember she walked out and she looked at me and she said, the disease was too strong for him. And that's exactly it, you know? And since that moment, I've lost so many friends of mine. And like, it's hard. I had a sponsor of mine in like my first year of sobriety that said to me, I remember like when I got out of treatment, there was like 30 of us that went through treatment together. I was just telling my best friend Tanya this the other day. Who you want to talk about gifts of recovery? My best friend and I have been friends for 25 years. And, you know, they told me, like, if you get sober, you will repair relationships, you know, you will, you know, cease fighting anyone and anything. There's all these different promises that, you know, you hear, but, like, they never said that you would find the greatest, best friend of your entire life. And, we were just talking about this the other day, but it's like, Now I totally forgot what I was going to talk about, what I was going to say we were talking about the other day. So anyway, what was I saying? Now I don't even remember what I was saying, but anyway, because I always get so emotional about that. But that was really what I, wanted to talk about, with getting into all of this. Talking about this today was, I wanted to talk about, I know what I was going to say, was that when I was in early sobriety, there was 30 of us that went through treatment together. And we all said that we would meet up at this alumni meeting like every week. And so like the first week that we met, we all got out and there was like half of us there. The next week, there was like half of that. And by the end of the month, it was like me and 2 other guys. And those 2 guys are still sober today. And they're in different programs than me. Like we're all 3 in different programs, but they're still sober today. And I think about like all those people that we went through treatment with and where are they? And I can remember saying something to my sponsor about that. And he said, you're going to walk over a lot of bodies to stay sober in recovery. And it's really sad, but it's really true, and there's been so many people that I've lost as a result of this. I get on here and I often talk about the people that have passed away, and I talk about all of that, and I talk about the people that have, gone. But like in the last year, I think it's really important to note, I have lost 2 of my past sponsors in the last year, 2 men that taught me to be a man of character, taught me to be a person of character. One sponsor of mine that would say to me when I walk in a room to hold my head up high because you're a person of character today. People that challenged me, people that helped me work on relationships in my life, people that formed me to be the person I was, people that challenged me to work on things that I was not comfortable working on, people that didn't let me get away by being yes men in my life. 2 of these fantastic men passed away in the last year, and they passed away sober. Both of them one of my sponsors had over 30 years of sobriety. He had almost 40. And my other sponsor had over 20 years of sobriety, almost 30 years of sobriety. I want people to know that there are people like my mother that got sober and thrived and continued to live great lives, and they passed away sober. It doesn't, just because we die in sobriety doesn't mean that we die because of being addicts and alcoholics. And I think that that's one thing that we don't talk a lot about. So at 22 minutes, let me get to what I wanted to say in this video. I sat down outside last night in the cold, and it was snowing, and it was very similar to the year that I got sober. And I was like, okay, Peter, what are you going to say different this year? If there was one person out there, just one person that you could speak to, that would listen to what you had to say, that would hear it, that would get it, that would internalize it, and would say, yes, I understand, and I'm going to start making changes. If you could speak to that one person, what would you say? And what I would say to that one person, whoever you are out there, what I would say to you, okay? Because one of the things I was talking about last week in my vlog was how afraid I was before I went into treatment. People had said to me all over the place, like, oh, you need to go to treatment, you need to do this. I had been to treatment. This was my 5th treatment. I had been to treatment a lot. I had had a lot of consequences from things. I had a lot of things happen in my life. None of those things got me sober. I was scared to death of what my life would look like without alcohol or drugs. I was terrified of it, right? So I wasn't going to just walk into treatment. What I would say to that one person out there today is, I wish that I could show you what my life looks like today. Not just on camera, not just in vlogs and drama videos or reviews and all that kind of stuff, or on Instagram, because I think that that is all just a glimpse of what somebody's life looks like, I wish I could show you what my life really looks like. I wish I could show you the letters and the cards that I receive from people. I wish I could show you the comments that I get and the DMs and the emails that I receive from people sharing parts of their life with me, sharing stories of their life with me, talking to me about how some of them are entering treatment and some of them have been sober for this amount of time and some of them that amount of time, right? I wish I could have you in the car with me when my best friend and I drive around. I wish I could have you sit in bed, not all the time, but I wish I could have you sit in the bed with me and my husband and our dog late at night when we're laughing and Alex is looking at TikToks and my dog is sitting sleeping in between us. I wish I could show you hanging out at my cousin Caroline's house for a holiday, or my mother-in-law's house for a holiday, or us going to visit my, brother and sister-in-law and having dinner with them. I wish I could show you my husband and I traveling together and the first time we enter a hotel room and how excited we get, I just announced yesterday on my BookTube channel that I'm going to start writing another book. I wish I could show you my heart inside of how excited I get thinking and talking about those things. I wish I could show you the accomplishments of me getting my undergraduate degree, me graduating with my master's degree, me working 13 years in a treatment facility as a counselor, me building all of my friendships in my life and all of the amazing friendships that I've had, I wish I could show you what it was like to stand next to my mother's hospital bed and what a privilege it was to be not only a part of her life, but also being sober at the time that she passed away. Because there are so many people that I talk to that say, I wasn't sober when my parent passed away, and I wish I was. I wish I could show you all of those things. And I wish I could let you know that all of that is because of December 17th, 1994, the day that I walked through the doors of treatment. Didn't want to be there, didn't want to stay, but I did. Terrified. I had no idea. You couldn't have shown me that. You couldn't have shown me what 28 years later would look like. One of my past sponsors used to say this all the time, and I love this. And he would say, today I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. Today I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. That doesn't mean that stuff does not happen in my life that's tough. That doesn't mean that stuff in my life doesn't happen that's difficult. I think we all know what my last year has been like. And I'm not going to act like there haven't been things that have happened. But today I have a design for living. I have tools, I have skills to help me get through things. I have people to lean on. I have a support system, and I am so thankful for the people in my life that are understanding and are right there for me. I have a best friend, I have a sponsor, I have a husband, I have friends in recovery. I have all these people that are so supportive of my sobriety and my, understand all of it. And I am so, so grateful for that. One of the things I want to say before I end this video is every time that I do a video and I talk about sobriety and I talk about recovery, I always get so many people in the comment sections that say, I have 3 years sober, or I have 27 years sober, or I have 30 days sober, and whatever. I can remember sitting in a meeting at like 32 days sober and listening to somebody share their story, which is called giving a lead. And I can remember them sharing their story. And I don't know, they had like 15 years sober or something like that, right? And we do this thing where we go around at the beginning, and people that have 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, a year, 18 months, and multiples of years get coins, right? Or keychains, depending on what program you're in. And I can remember sitting there, and these people would get, coins and keychains for like 15 years, 10 years, 18 years, 5 years. And I'm like, they're liars. There's no way. There's no way that they haven't had a beer, that they have had continuous sobriety for this amount of time. I don't believe it. And I do not believe that they are living enjoyable lives if they aren't using. Like, that's crap. I have been sober for over 30 days at this point, you guys, And I just didn't believe that they were telling the truth on any of this kind of stuff. So I always love when people share that in the comment section. And what I'm going to ask, okay, and we're going to do this for the one person out there that hopefully, maybe this Christmas will be a sober Christmas for them, the first sober Christmas in a long time. We're going to give them the motivation they need. For all of you out there that we call family, for all of you sober people out there, will you please list how long you've been sober in the comment sections? And may I say congratulations to all of you out there. It will motivate somebody, it will help them, and hopefully it will inspire them that they too can recover. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.